Hello and welcome back to Shelf Center. This is Bryce. Thank you so much for stopping by, for liking and subscribing. You know, if you eventually like this kind of thing, who knows? It could happen. So I have one of my best YouTube buddies here today. That's the great and one and only boiled jellyfish, Jordan here. Gosh, we've been friends for pretty much the whole time. I just started my silly channel and started YouTubing. And it actually was a connection over the Cradle series, what we're here today to discuss. And what's funny, I even happened to be the one I pulled Jordan from obscurity and onto the tubes of you. And because I didn't know what I was doing, and I still don't, as you well know, constant watchers of the channel, because I did a tag and I was like, I'm going to tag a commenter. I don't know if that's even allowed. And so then we got some great videos from Jordan. So anyway, this is Jordan, the great boiled jellyfish. Jordan, do you have anything to say? What's your channel all about?
I don't know, books, I guess. I mean, you created me, Bryce.
Yes.
You just pulled me out of the comments section. Now I'm in video form. I
Yes.
don't know. It's
One
same
of my
thing,
greatest,
just
one of my
sci-fi,
greatest
fantasy,
accomplishments.
couple videos here and there.
Yeah.
Nothing too exciting, I suppose.
Oh man, no,
Yeah.
it's great. And I love watching your videos. They're always very insightful. And definitely go subscribe to Jordan's channel. It will be linked below. So definitely check him out. It's just anyway, we connected over Cradle. Like what's the deal with Cradle? Like what brings you to Cradle?
Me to Cradle?
Yeah.
Man, I don't really know, man. Just like one day it was just Will White was just like, yo, here's a bunch of free Cradle books. I was like, oh, I'll try this out. And then I realized like there's this like huge community based around it. And I read on Unsold and I was like, I'm not seeing it. And I read Soulsmith. I was like, I'm not seeing it. And I read Black Flame. I was like, I'm seeing it. And then I just kept going, and then I got hooked. It started out as a popcorn series, and then it literally became book meth.
Oh man, that describes it so well. Like that's exactly my experience. And it's kind of like I compare it to the Dresden Files. I don't know if you've read that.
Oh yes, I'm all caught up on Dresden Files.
Yeah, yeah. And that's me too. And it's like it was, it was like it's fun, throw one in here and there, I'm more focused on these other series that are more important to me. And then
And then
eventually
all
it's
of a
like,
sudden,
yeah, Cradle is so important. Like when's the next one out? When's it coming
yeah,
out? I gotta have it.
yeah,
Oh man, that's
definitely one of
awesome.
those addicting series.
It
Both
is.
Cradle and Dresden, I just kind of like I was like physically reading, and I said, no, I'm too slow for this. I got to go audio. And then I'm like, okay, so one time speed, 1.6 speed. Oh no, 1.75 times speed.
Yeah,
That's where I'm gonna binge
it's a
it.
sweet spot. Two is a little fast. It's a little
Yeah,
fast. Oh man, that's awesome. And what's great about both of these series have great audio narrators, right?
yeah,
Like,
definitely.
and that's what Travis Baldree on the Cradle series. He just does these voices so well. And there's this, like, it's a serious story, right? It's not like it's not like Hitchhikers or a Terry Pratchett Discworld book, but it has this great underlying humor to it that Baldree just gets right, I think.
Oh, definitely,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, I don't know, there's just like that kind of tongue in cheek on a lot of things, but then, then it's serious again. And it's like, oh, there's some dire consequences to some actions. Oh, people can get hurt over this or whatever.
Yeah.
And then Ethan talks.
Or Dross.
Yeah, or Dross, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. So I just want to give a warning. I'll probably put it in the title, I'm sure, but I want to give a warning. This is spoiler for the whole series. 11 books out so far. We are excited. I assume I'm going to talk for you, Jordan, that Waybound is coming out very soon here, especially by the time this video comes up. So,
29 days, Bryce. 29
yes.
days.
Oh man, it's so close. That's like, I know. I'm already going, okay, I'm going to need to get it in Kindle so my son can read it and he'll have it read before me. And then he'll tease about all the spoilers that he knows. And then he'll tell me, what happens is that Lyndon says words. And I'm always like, stop. And then that's how he gets me. He thinks it's hilarious. And it's, he gets me every time. And then I'll end up eventually getting the audiobook. All right, so let's do the tier list, right? That's what we're here for. Let me make sure I can do this right. So the hard part. So anyway, this is what this idea came to is I'm going to do a tier list, and then Jordan's gonna pull a dross on me as if I'm Lyndon, and pretty much make sure that every decision is questioned that I make. And we all love dross, so I mean it's a good thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, so these are, and I wish I could claim credit for any of these, but Jordan was the one that was like, hey, don't be boring with your tier list and have fun with
exact words.
Yeah, he was like, don't be a boring dummy, you dumb. I was like, okay, man. All right, fine. All right. But yeah, Monarch S tier, as you can, understand. Again, we're already into spoiler territory here. There's only so many monarchs you can even have on the planet. I'm not going to call it, I almost called it Earth, but planet will go with. And
iteration 110.
Iteration 110. That's the best way to, exactly. Thank you. On this planet, and which again, that makes sense. That's an S tier thing. Only so many, right? Then we got Herald Sage. They're very good. They're excellent. They are super high powered at the top there. Underlord, we spend a good amount of time in the series with like Underlord being like, that's the height, right? I mean, that's what I thought for for 6-7 books. Six, maybe 5 books, because 6 is when you're like, oh, only
only Underlord,
only be an Underlord to be in the tournament. Right? You're like, what? And then Gold Jade, still good. Again, this is a tier list. When I do a tier list for a series, I'm going to use the whole tier list, right? I love this series, but we're going to go with, the worst compared to itself and the best compared to itself.
Yeah.
And then Iron and Copper down at the bottom. All right. Anything else? Did I miss anything, Jordan?
Nope. That's beautiful.
Okay, I know, that's how I do things. Okay, that's from me and the beauty of my words that are terrible.
Yes, I know.
Okay, all right. Unsold. I had just read through a couple, or at least one, in the Arcane Ascension series. That was my first progression fantasy series that I had started, and I loved that idea of essentially Pokemon. I don't know, it's not but just leveling up or any video game really, especially these days. And so Unsold, even though it was kind of this first idea of this, it was really cool to me, but again, compared to the rest, I'm still gonna have to go with Iron and Copper. I was debating whether I should go Gold Jade, but I gotta go Iron Copper.
No, I 100% agree with you there, because this is also going to play into the second option with Soulsmith. But Will White even admits that Unsold and Soulsmith don't feel like Cradle books. The biggest issue behind all this is he has this vast world and this I was going to say insanely complex, but it's like a complex magic system, but he has to try and simplify it.
Yeah.
And it takes him a couple books to really get that under wraps. And yeah, so definitely would put that there because it didn't feel like a true Cradle book, in my opinion, and definitely start at the bottom for with Unsold there.
Have you reread any of these?
Not yet. I plan on doing a reread probably next year.
Okay,
I'm actually thinking on the anniversary of Waybound, I'm going to start Unsold again.
that's a good idea. That's a good plan. I
Yeah.
like that. It's just so much fun, and I'm excited. Anyway, okay, that's cool. All right, then Soul Smith. We got book 2 here. And I appreciate that insight. That's cool. That I did not know that. That's why we bring people on here that know what they're talking about. So that's great. Soul Smith, I'm actually going to put below Unsold. That's the clincher here. Do you
Ooh.
agree with me on that? Is that a bad?
So, you know what? I disagree. I would probably put Soulsmith a little bit like just in front of Unsold, mostly because we get out of Sacred Valley. I mean, in Unsold, I find the first like 5 Cradle books, you get a new character added to your team, and in Unsold, you get Urine. In Soulsmith, who do we get?
Ethan, I know, or Ethan.
Ethan,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
I mean, it's a little touch of Ethan. It's not the true Ethan we all love,
Yeah.
but I would probably put Soulsmith a little bit in front of Unsold.
Yeah, I think my thing, I just have this like the first book in a series. I love how it like transports you into that different world, and it was still
Yeah,
cool
true.
enough for me that's where it got me. That like messing, like the craziness of that ending was so cool with Yaren kind of just like fighting her way through the play. Anyway, it was just so cool. So anyway, like, and then suddenly he's out with her, and you're like, what?
Yeah.
But
No, actually, I agree with you because usually, like, I love the first installment of a series. Like, I mean, for example, like Stormlight Archive, my favorite is Way of Kings. Definitely, yeah, I'll agree with you there.
Well, and that's the only no, but I thought you made a good point though, because I was going the Ethan introduction. I mean, it's just Ethan's like might be my favorite character in the whole
I
thing.
mean,
You know,
he does introduce himself as the greatest janitor.
no, it's so good. Oh man, it's so good. Okay, anyway, I mean, I could probably go either way, but I think they're close enough. But they're still not like quite. They're still great, but again, on the popcorn level, like you described, I think that was exactly right.
Yeah.
All right, Black Flame. Black Flame. You know what? I'm a sucker for a good training montage.
Yeah.
You know, like I think even I'm debating whether Black Flame might even take it up to Underlord. It's at least Gold Jade. It's definitely on a different tier as the first 2. I think I got to go Gold Jade at least for now until I reassess things.
Yeah, yeah.
For whatever.
I think so too. It's definitely when it starts to feel like an actual Cradle book is when you start with Black Flame. And whenever people ask me like, "Oh, I'm going to try a Cradle," like when does it actually get good? I was like, "Well, unfortunately, you have to read the first 3 books and then you'll actually get a good feel for it."
Right.
And they're like, "Oh, do I really?" I'm like, "Well, yeah. Like I know they're all short, but this is when it actually starts to feel like the series." And yeah, so Black Flame definitely, and Orthos is added to the team in book 3,
Classic.
and Black Flame is the one where it feels like an actual true Cradle book, and that's the one I actually usually recommend for people.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. Exactly.
Yeah.
And yep. And I think I know that's the thing is if you didn't like the first 2, then it is kind of like, you know, if you really want to give the series a shot, you got to go to book 3 at least.
Yeah. I know it's a bit of a challenge, but thankfully they're all pretty short.
Yeah.
Short for fantasy.
Yeah, I know, right? Exactly.
Yeah.
And I mean, for a while there, like you said, the way I got into was the first 9 books on Kindle were free. So I was like, well, that's a no-brainer. And then they were either dirt cheap or somewhere just included on the Audible, like for the catalog. And so those were easy to just jump into. Literally, it was like a bunch of them. And then once you had them on Kindle, then they're also, he only lists them for like $2 on on Audible once you have them in Kindle. So then it's like,
Yeah, that's the thing that you guys get. Us Canadians don't get
oh,
that. It's stupid. I had to
that's
use a credit
frustrating.
for every single Cradle book. I had to use a credit for. So that's
At
15
least,
bucks a pop.
oh man, at least it's worth it. But you're right, like, because that's where, like with Cradle, I kind of go, all right, I'll buy the Kindle, so that's like,
And then
$5,
spend a couple
and
bucks.
then spend a
Yeah,
couple bucks on the Audible, and then it's easy.
yeah.
Oh man,
Unfortunately, we don't get that.
lame.
Maybe soon, hopefully.
And
Yeah.
you guys get hosed, as one might say, in Canada. Did I cuss in Canadian? I'm sorry. But I've watched too much Strange Brew. By your shipping costs. Didn't you say there was like crazy shipping costs on one of the Kickstarters that you did?
Yeah, so for example, like the Brandon Sanderson secret projects for the let's say the May box, that would be an additional $40
Oh,
per box. So like when you calculate all the shipping and everything, it's like outrageous.
that was the price of the
It's like,
book.
yeah.
Oh man.
And I mean, like actually, for example, this Cradle Kickstarter that ended over a year and a half ago, I'm still waiting on my 3 books,
Oh,
and I spent $35 shipping, if I recall.
oh
It still hasn't arrived yet, and it's been over a month and a half.
dang. Oh,
Yeah,
that's just wrong. And it's just like
but
it's right over the board. Like it's probably closer than a lot of places in the
yeah.
US.
Well, I also live on a island in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, so
That's true.
that's punishment for living over here with the
Yeah.
moose.
For living over in a place that's very cool.
Very cold, more
And
like
cool.
it.
Oh man, that's awesome. Okay. Sorry, it's easy to get distracted.
Yeah.
But I like it. All right. Sky Sworn. Definitely for me, it's gonna be lower than Black Flame.
Same here, man.
My question, I think it's still above the bottom two. So I'm gonna go still Gold Jade, but it's not on the level of Black Flame, which again I said I'm a sucker for a training montage. Like I'm not
Yeah.
joking. Like I love it. I know some people are like, oh, it's just like a slog of like them, just anyway. I love like one of my favorite my favorite Harry Potter book is Order of the Phoenix, and there's a great
Yeah,
training in there. So,
definitely. Yeah, I 100% agree with you for Skysworn being below Black Flame. Um, I it's definitely the book that gives you a little bit more of an overarching like plot with the Dread Gods, and you get Mercy, but it just doesn't hit it the same as Black Flame for sure.
and I might even blame like some of it might be the main. I gotta look this up because I don't know the names as well as I should. But the main kind of like, well, the like Sky Sworn like leader guys,
Yeah,
they're frustrating. They're extremely frustrating for me. And one of them was just like, oh, and I'm like, I think that's a testament to Will White's writing that I was frustrated with that, like to
yeah,
that
true
degree.
that.
Anyway,
Yeah,
so but it still was like that's more of like I see that book as like, oh, I'm frustrated with it. Like again, it was intentional. Like that
yeah.
was the right emotion he was getting out of me. All right, Ghostwater, right? Um, Ghostwater, this was the one when I first started reading, and I was like, are we really doing a side quest? And so, but it was one where so that kind of made me go, okay, I want like, I want to get to the next plot element, and this feels like a side quest. But then the more I got into it, the more I was like, okay, this is awesome. And plus, I kind
Yeah,
of learned like any progression that our main guys get is not really a side quest, right? That's the whole point of like at least Lyndon's whole desire in life, and Urine, like
yeah,
and Ethan for them. So anyway, and then you meet like one of the best characters too. So I think I'm gonna put it same tier but above Black Flame for
I
all
would
those
probably put
reasons.
it a little bit higher personally.
You're under.
Um, the more I think about it, the more like Ghostwater like resonates with me. I mean, yeah, it's definitely like a side quest, but like it it's like a little taste of like a lit RPG where he's just in a dungeon kind of
Yeah,
in a way. He's in
sure.
Ghostwater
Yeah,
and yeah, he's just grinding and grinding and grinding as much as he can and it's just him and Orthos and he meets Dross obviously, which is one of the more popular characters in the series. And Ghostwater really was the like Black Flame was like, oh yeah, the series is good, but Ghostwater really grabbed me and said, "This is a series you're gonna love."
okay, I like that because
Yeah,
I was holding back a little bit on because I just remember that feeling of like right just the first I don't know 20 to 50 pages going like are we doing a side quest here really
yeah,
and then because that in that feeling kind of just like until I like got comfortable with it and then it was like okay this is cool and but again there was like some great like it's great stakes right because they're getting hunted by these aren't they underlord these underlords that kind of
or Gold, I think.
or gold maybe okay that like
Yeah,
chase them into it. I know that the
yeah,
problem once you get to a certain point in the series you're almost like what's a gold even though like at first you're like oh, golds exist and
but
they're everywhere what
yeah, it's definitely like you're like a RPG where you go into a new area and everyone's like overpowered,
yeah
and you're like, oh crap, got to run back and grind for a bit, just kill
yeah
some Rattatas and Pidgeys.
right exactly oh man it has so many Rattatas and Pidgeys man someone might think that I hate them um all right, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna be persuaded. I'm going Underlord with that because I love Dross and I love the whole concept. And one of the things too in its favor of not being a side quest is that it does get referred to then like over and over again like in the later novels, right?
Yeah,
So
definitely 100%.
especially with North Strider coming back
North
in,
Striders, yeah, it's
yeah,
his pocket world.
yeah. Okay, that's good. I like that. All right. Underlord. Do we put Underlord at Underlord? Is that even fair? Is that allowed? Um,
Underlord fits beautifully into Underlord, but
I
right behind Ghostwater, in my opinion. It's a
okay.
little bit more forgettable than Ghostwater.
And I that's a good point because I struggle with both with all three, like the three Underlord, Uncrowned, Wintersteel. Wintersteel kind of is kind of a little more stark, but they kind of they're somewhat blending in because they involve the same one thing, right? One event
Yeah,
that is the Uncrowned tournament. But I remember like pretty starkly too, though. Underlord was really, I think, like I already was like, oh, I love this series, and then Underlord hit, and I was like, okay, this is really cool. Like this is
yeah,
really cool. So for me, I think I'm going to put it ahead of Ghostwater, and apparently with a perfect pattern. Uh,
yeah.
how obnoxious is that? Uh, but I think I'm going with a little better. But I get your point on that. It seems like you connected with Ghostwater. Um,
Yeah, I
really
definitely feel like I can. It definitely resonated more with me with Ghostwater, and Underlord was just a hair more forgettable.
yeah. No, I agree. That's the problem is what I'm like agreeing with you and then not agreeing with you by my placement of it. So
And
where's
that's what makes this video 3 times longer.
I know exactly.
Are you
For
sure about that?
yeah, for no reason. No. Okay, I think I'm gonna stick with that. Uncrowned, the like meat of the tournament. Another thing, not only is it a training montage that I'm a sucker for, but a good tournament I am a sucker for.
Yeah, that was a
Um,
great installment.
yeah, I think I might even put it even a little higher at Herald Sage.
This is where it gets really hard because the whole Cradle series just kind of like exponentially increases, right?
Yeah.
And you're trying to categorize it in this tier list.
No,
So,
no. It's like
um,
we need to torture ourselves. I know.
no, I'll agree with there. Harold
I
and Sage, definitely.
I'm like, I was just because my part of my thought on that is like I know where I'm going with Winter Steel. So
Oh yeah,
and
we all
that's
know
where
where
I'm
we're going with Winter Steel.
yeah, right. Like so that's like
Straight
part
to
of
iron and copper tier.
down to the bottom. What a you
Down to the
jumped the
bottom.
shark. Completely jumped the
That's
shark.
when I don't know what Will White was smoking that 6 months he was writing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. So that's my thought process there is going like, okay, well, I know where I'm headed with Winter Steel, and like Uncrowned just goes right into that so well. That
Yeah, it just blends right in.
yeah. So I'm gonna
It's
go
just a
and
step up.
speaking of that,
Yeah,
all the
S
way to the
tier,
top. Just
100% Monarch. I mean, well, let's go over the highlights.
yeah.
Points. It's all about points, Bryce.
Points. Oh my gosh. And like we were talking about this before we started filming, the point sage, right? I'm sorry, I stole
Yeah,
it. You were the one that talked about it, but that was hilarious.
Lyndon becomes the point sage.
It's so
What are you
great.
guys talking about? It's about the points.
He's so obsessed with those points. It's so great. And I love again, yeah, where how White brings it back with that hilarious bloopers at the end.
Yeah.
I was like, I was dying. And then yeah, so that was great. See, and I had to I'm trying to think. Yeah. What else? I mean, we have just our ending of the tournament, right?
Yeah.
Again,
Well,
so
I
many
mean,
just insanely jumping up to level, leveling up here.
oh, definitely. Well, let's see. A hole gets punched through the sky.
Whole bunch.
The ending of the tournament with what is it? Urine and oh my god,
Yeah,
Sisescanaz?
yeah, the dragon one, the
The
dragon
the
one
the gold the
represented.
gold dragon. Yeah. Um.
So skip. I know.
Yeah. Well, Urine becomes like a pseudo herald,
Yeah,
or yeah, pseudo herald, and Lyndon becomes a sage. It's just
and
so much
even
happens
and this is the one, right?
in
Where
this
isn't
book.
this the one where Yaren gets like kind of finally like meshes in together with her blood sage? Am I
Yes.
getting the right one? Okay, that's what I
Yep.
was thinking.
And that's how she becomes like
Right,
herald
yeah,
level,
the Herald
and
level, right?
that's how she won the tournament.
Yeah. Okay, that's where I'm like, because that's where I was like, because some of these they kind of start to like blend together. I already,
Yeah.
already admitted it. But I just remember, yes, just my feeling of Winter Steel is just like, man,
Yeah.
that just blew me away. Blew me away on
D-
so many levels.
Do you ever like read a book and you just remember the exact time and place you were when
Oh,
you were
yeah.
reading it?
Oh, yeah.
So I was doing it via audio, and I was mowing my lawn. And I think I was mowing underneath my patio, and I was like at the scene where Urine wins, and she gets to select who to kill.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, man.
I can't even remember who she killed after. I can't remember the name, but I remember specifically mowing the lawn during the end of Winter Steel.
That's so funny. That's awesome. I have memories of this one audiobook. I can't even I remember the audiobook. I can't even remember the name of it, but I could look it up. But every time I shovel snow off of my driveway, I think of that audiobook. So, so I feel you. It's like
Yeah,
every time I'm like, oh yeah, I remember this. Oh man, but that's awesome, especially that Winter Steel gave you that because it's such a oh man, it's such a strong book. Um,
yeah, definitely.
okay, Bloodline. Bloodline is very good, but I think I'm going to put it back down to this level because I apparently am sticking to this pattern like an annoying person. But I still felt like it's very good. It's on a very heightened level, but I didn't like it's not like Monarch level for me.
Well,
Um,
it's definitely one that's like, let's take a step back and breathe
that's exactly, and I think again,
after everything that happened in Winter Steel. It's Bloodline is a very like divisive book from what I've gathered from the community. Like a lot of people either take Bloodline as like one of their favorites, like sometimes more than Wintersteel, and some people don't like Bloodline. But it's really nice that we take a step back, we have a little breather, and we go back to Sacred Valley. We go back to the beginning, and that's always nice. It's really reminiscent, and we get to go back and see uh, Ethan's sister and oh my gosh, Jylong.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
And that was one where it was like, oh, hey, we're using Jylong again. Like,
Hey,
I wasn't
who are
ready.
you? Where'd you
Yeah.
come from?
Yeah. But that was, yeah, I liked it a lot. I still feel like, I think, there's kind of like this, the beginning books are popcorny. We kind of talked about that, and they just start getting to this level again, not unlike Dresden Files, where they just kind of start blowing you away and are at this whole different tier. And that's kind of
Yeah.
where I was at with Bloodline. Was, I think it's a good point, and it was a necessary step back to make Reaper what it was for me, at least. I thought. And so maybe I'll just go to it right now. I'm going to
Well,
put
let's
this.
make a Dresden comparison.
Okay, yeah,
Let's say Wintersteel is Changes
there you
and
go.
Bloodline is Ghost Story.
Yeah, that's true. And Ghost Story frustrated me, right?
I wasn't the biggest fan of Ghost Story,
Yep.
but it was a take a step back.
Yep.
Let's go over everything that happened. I mean, Harry lose Fuego, which is silly, but
You got it. Like Harry and Fuego, they go together like peanut butter and jelly,
peanut butter and jellyfish.
And jellyfish, exactly. Yes, perfect. Oh man, yeah, exactly. No, that was one of, but again, they make sense and kind of setting things up, man. But I was really frustrated with Ghost Story, but it is a good comparison.
Yeah. Well, I would probably, well, I prefer Bloodline over Ghost Story, but yeah, that was too much of a big of a step back.
It was, and mostly just
Yeah.
because I'm one where I don't like that trope where the like main person loses their mojo or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I've never been a fan of it, and
No, it was definitely off.
like I come to whatever series, Spider-Man, whatever it is, to like for the power, right, for whatever thing that they can do, like that's part of it. And it's like, wait, they don't have it, like then what's the point? And I get it that it's a great trope to use because then you can suddenly throw more bad guys in and whatnot. All right, but I want to see, but that was a great comparison. Great. That's what we keep throwing Dresden in, and I'm like, I'm really liking it the more we talk about it. Maybe I'm just convinced. All right, is this gonna blow your mind? I don't know. Am I gonna lose a friend here? I don't know. But I'm gonna put Reaper at, I'm actually gonna go S tier. Not Wintersteel level, but I guess it's on the same level, but it's not above Wintersteel for sure. But I loved Reaper, and that end like twist like got me. I was like, no way! How did I not know that? I should have gotten that.
Well, Bryce, we're talking spoilers, so obviously we're talking about Ethan being Azrael.
Oh man.
Yeah. Yes, I actually agree. I love Reaper. It was a thrill ride for sure.
Yeah.
And we're keeping with the 2 columns there.
I'm like, I hate myself for it too. Like, I don't even want
no, 100%. Reaper was a very, very beautiful point in the Cradle series, and it basically plateaus after Wintersteel, in my opinion. Wintersteel is the peak, and then it just has a little dip, and then it just coasts.
Yeah.
From there, it's definitely plateaued at that point. Yeah, 100% agree. Reaper is definitely up there. It was another like dungeon kind of aspect there to it.
That's true. That's a good point.
Ethan's reveal, Ethan's quote at the end where he just like gets all sentimental.
Yeah. And you're like, oh, you're like, you weren't sarcastic for half a second.
This guy that literally creeps up behind me every 10 minutes is getting sentimental.
Oh man. And I think that's one where I quoted on Twitter, and Will White retweeted it, and I felt really good about that. But it was essentially like, I think it was Reaper, but it was where Ethan goes, so I'm laughing at it already. Ethan goes, hey, I can't tell you, you'll laugh at me, and I'm not going to quote it perfectly. I'm going to do a terrible job of actually quoting, but the essence of it is that Ethan turns to Lyndon and is like, I can't tell you my plan because you'll laugh at me. And Lyndon was like, I never laugh. And then and Ethan goes, yeah, that's right. I've been meaning to get that looked into. Like, that's concerning to me. It was so good. I was like, oh, it's so true. And it's one of those, like, I love those kind of jokes where you're like,
Yeah.
you as a
Well,
reader are so connected to these characters that you got that, right? And that's the only way to
well,
do
like
that well.
Cradle is the perfect example of the found family trope.
It
Like
is. That's a good point.
from Unsold all the way up to Ghostwater, you add a new addition to your team, right? So like you get your Aaron, you get Ethan, you get Orthos, you get Mercy, and then you get Dross. And we're trying to get Dross back in Reaper, but yeah, definitely the found family is there.
Yeah, and that was hard because yeah, the weird Dross is like, but it's
Yeah,
also kind of still really funny.
yeah.
They're like
Well, he's
super
like,
morbid, like
yeah,
scary
he's
Dross.
super sadistic.
Yeah, like, oh, what are you planning there, man? Like, you're in my head, and you're like, everything you say is extremely morbid and scary. So, oh man, but it's like such a good twist. Like, what a crazy twist that it's like, hey, you know what? I can take a character and just completely like lobotomize it, and it makes
Yeah,
sense, and it still is like mostly there. And to be able to write that and to like
yeah,
write it darkly like that, and it made sense. Like, it worked so well. Like, that was just
yeah.
like, hats off to Mr. White. Like, that is insane.
And hats off to Travis for adding the voice
Like,
of a very different Dross.
making it just a slight little change. Exactly. And it's like,
Yeah,
how do you even do that? I'm glad there are these talented, amazing people in the world, because the world would just be a terrible place if it was just up to me. So,
yeah.
so I'm just glad they exist. Oh man. Okay. It's the final countdown. All right. Classic. Is that a Canadian band? Um,
I don't know.
I don't even know. I don't know why. All right. Dread God. Here's the question. I did recently finish this. That's why I wanted to do this tier list.
Yeah.
I liked what's funny is it's the YouTuber. Dread God is a YouTuber.
Is he?
Well, I mean, it's a Halo light, right?
Yeah. Oh,
It's a
pretty sneaky.
bad YouTube joke. It's bad. I was like, I didn't commit to that joke even really, so that's how bad it was. But okay, let's see. This one's hard because it's not S tier for me. I'm just
No,
spoil that right
no.
now.
I agree with you there.
The question I really just have is it better than Uncrowned and Bloodline? I think I'm going to split the difference and put it right in the middle.
I was thinking the exact same thing, man. There's
Yes.
some really good moments of it, but like compared to the rest, man.
Yeah. Well, again, it seemed for me, I just kept being like, I think this is more of like the penultimate, like, we're getting ready for the final book, right? Is another
Yeah.
bloodline, like another bloodline. Let's step back, arrange everything how we need it, and then
And
the
let's consume a
finale.
dread god.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know, right? And that's an insane thing to happen, right? Like, that one was like, what? And Lyndon can do this, and then you have like the monarchs, like the one helping him, right? And then like the what is it, the Earth one or whatever, and then
That
the
was
others.
Mercy's mom.
But yeah, like, so I mean, but you have, and then like kind of this weird dynamic with like, oh, the monarchs are like, now we're going for blood.
Yeah.
And you're our number one target. Like, oh crap. Like,
Yeah.
that's crazy. But again, that's again where I felt like this was like this is the setup. This is what we needed, because Waybound is going to just like kick all of our trash. Like, it is going to just floor us, like, and it's all set
Yeah.
up and ready to go, and that's what I'm very excited for.
Yeah.
And again, I hope,
Definitely.
again, just I don't know if I always want to temper my expectations, but I don't think I can at this point. Like 11 books in, clearly I'm committed.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Clearly I'm excited now. This is the
And
first time I've actually been caught up to be able to be part of the excitement.
oh my gosh, yes. And you know what? Like, I'm not even worried about Waybound because given the trend of all these books, as we could see right
It's
here
true.
on this tier list,
There it
it's
is
probably going to be up there. It's
on the
probably going to be
list.
up on that S tier right next to Winter Steel.
Yep. Is it exactly the question? The real question is which side of Winter Steel is it going to be on? I wonder.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a good
for
point.
sure.
And yeah, no, that's a good point because that is the trend here with the, I guess, most boring looking tier list ever made. So, apologies for that, everyone.
It's probably the most visually pleasing tier list we got.
But this makes the most sense to me, like I try to
Yeah, oh well,
analyze the
yeah.
whole tier list and I'm like, I can't find one that I'm disagreeing with though that doesn't belong right like where it is.
Well, even before we started recording, I said, this is how I overrate Cradle. It's like it
Yeah.
starts at low at the bottom and just goes all the way up.
Yeah.
And there's like two bumps in the road.
Right.
There's Skysworn and Bloodline. Those are the two bumps. It keeps going up. And
And they
Winter
were just
Steel is the peak.
slight. There were a slight, tick back, right? But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, no, I think that's fair. I think that is
No.
absolutely fair. Well, let's
The
see.
only difference I would make, like I said earlier, is just flip in Ghostwater and Underlord.
Okay. I
Yeah,
like
that's
that.
the only difference I would make.
That's pretty good. That's pretty
Yeah.
damn good. That's
Seems
amazing.
like we have very similar tastes, Bryce.
I think so. There might be a reason we're good friends. I
Okay, maybe I'll have to try this Malzahn thing I keep hearing about.
one day we'll suck you in
Yeah,
and get a hold of you.
and I'll just keep bugging you.
One day.
What's this? Who's that? Why is this happening? Who is the crippled god?
Why do you think I like Malzahn so much? It makes people have to be friends with me, right? Like
Yeah,
you have to ask questions to
and I'm just
understand
gonna keep asking all these silly questions about this crippled god. Why did he become crippled? Does he have crutches? Does he have a wheelchair? Like, does he have to register as a motor vehicle?
He should. Oh man, well, this has been a blast. Thank you so much for joining me. I thank you for having the idea. Thank you for having all of the good ideas, like the names of the tier list and everything. I just cannot thank you enough. Please go do yourself a favor. Jordan is just one of the best people I've ever met. He's such a good guy, and you gotta go subscribe to his channel if you haven't already. You will not regret it. Any final words for us here? Please like and subscribe and blah, blah, blah. Thank you so much. Seriously, I really cannot thank you enough for joining this channel, for subscribing and everything. And I'll leave it to you, Jordan.
No, it was awesome. It was really fun doing this with you. Obviously, like we both bonded over Cradle. How I actually found your channel was when you had 20 subscribers. I actually
Yeah.
remember that. I have like a weird memory. And it was your Unsold review, and I was like, hey, this guy's doing a Cradle review. This is when I was trying to get into Cradle. Like this is when I was like done Soulsmith or something like that. I was like, hey, that guy's doing a review. So so I watched it and I was like, I like this guy. He is like his sense of humor is right up my alley. He's got a glorious beard.
There we go. Well, and that was the first like video that kind of like hit on my channel. It was like it
Yeah.
reached like 100 or 200, and I was like, "What is this?" Oh man. Well, thank you so much. Sorry, I
Yes,
said
no
you that
problem.
last word, but I cannot thank you enough, man. And all right, we'll catch you everyone later. Bye.